Network Entertainment.
Yung mga lagundi, isa yon sa 10 halamang gamot na unang tinuklas through the Philippine Biorepository Network. Tiningnan natin yung iba-ibang koleksyon natin sa buong bansa at tiningnan rin natin, not just sa collection actually, but in situ, pinuntahan yung iba-ibang part from Luzon to Mindanao. Tapos tiningnan din sa ibang bansa from Thailand, Indonesia, Taiwan, China, pumunta rin sa Spanya, and of course yung mga herbarium specimens, no? Ultimately, from there, nakita natin na iba pala yung mga characteristics natin in terms of morphology. Herbarium pa lang, I think it's more than 4,000 samples that we looked into para lang, makikita ba namin even at the dried specimen? Can we tell them apart? And it's a resounding yes.
Welcome to Behind the Science podcast. New episode every Thursday at 7 p.m.
Magandang araw mga kapasiyentista at welcome sa isa na namang episode ng Behind the Science podcast. Ako si Paul Flores, ang inyong host, and our guest is an Associate Professor at the Institute of Crop Science, University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and the Laboratory Head of the Crop Breeding and Genetic Resources Laboratory. The lab focuses on minor, underutilized, neglected, and native cultivated plant species from the Philippines. His research interests involve plant genetic resources, conservation and management, cultivated plant systematics, plant breeding, and other allied fields. He graduated BS Agriculture, MS Plant Genetic Resources Conservation and Management, and PhD in Plant Breeding from UP Los Baños, and a second Master's in Plant Breeding from Wageningen University of Research, the Netherlands. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Renerio Gentalian.
Good afternoon.
So welcome sa podcast, Sir Rio. So ang topic natin ngayon ay tungkol ito sa pag-identify ng mga iba-ibang species ng lagundi sa Pilipinas. And the usual, bago natin pag-usapan yung naging research ni na Sir Rio, ay kilalanin muna natin siya as well as yung naging journey niya as a scientist. So sir, I mentioned na laboratory head ka ngayon, of course leading your own research group. So can you tell us more about your lab? So ano yung mga research na ginagawa niyo dito and current projects na pwede mong i-share?
Hi, thank you so much po. With that po, actually, we're from the Crop Breeding and Genetic Resources Laboratory, and as said earlier, focus talaga namin ay minor underutilized native species because yung lab namin is actually a bridge between the wild and of course the cultivated. So kaya we focus on minor underutilized native species, yung mga up and coming crops, and those na hindi pa na-unfold, and those that are just early domesticates. Yun yung mga tinitingnan namin, how the crop wild relatives and of course the domesticated ones come into place. At the same time, ina-unlock rin natin yung diversity, yung genetic diversity ng bawat crops, and kino-conserve rin namin dito sa laboratory. So ganun yung mga types of research, and so that's why yung aming mga projects are very integrative. So yung iba, it spans from agronomic, phytochemical, yung iba taxonomic, genetic. So it's because all of those, ang nakaangkla talaga nun, ang nakasentro nun ay yung mga halaman, yung plant genetic resources. And of course, promoter rin yung laboratory namin, ang tinatawag namin na resource-based biotechnology, or in a wider sense, resource-based science. Kasi gusto namin what we do, what we use as methods, and even yung mga materials and facilities are really cost-effective. So meaning, gusto namin kung naggagawa dito sa lab, kaya na siyang gawin sa ibang lugar, sa ibang state university, ibang research institution. So yun yung mga dine-develop naming technologies and methodologies, and at the same time, research na nakaangkla, of course, sa genetic resources para magamit siya, para ma-conserve, and of course, hopefully later ay mabigyan siya ng pansin, no? Sa ating society. Ayan po.
Ngayon ko lang napansin naka-lab shirt. So lahat ba ng mga RA mo may ganyang shirt or ikaw lang?
Usually every year may kami na so kasi nga parang it's also a field shirt kasi siya, it's dry fit siya, tas mura lang siya actually. Yes.
Okay.
So ayan, so so kasi nga when you work in the laboratory, parang hindi lang siya lab, parang pupunta ka rin sa field, both sa field talaga for cultivation and field also in situ. So minsan kasi hindi nag-fit yung ibang mga anong tawag dito ng regular designated shirts. Kaya kinailangan namin na of course ay para lang just to make ourselves representable rin yun rin, pero pag pinawisan ay of course ay kaya rin naming mag-cool off dun sa field kasi nga anong tawag nito, functional siya. Ayan.
Anong brand yan? Baka pwede mag-sponsor dito.
So far walang brand kasi kasi nga dahil walang binili lang namin sa sa online, and then kami lang rin yung nagpatatak. So parang kumbaga I think it was around 70 pesos yung isa. So parang ganoon. Kaya yes. Kaya
Nice.
sabi namin na okay na rin. Ay, hindi rin naman mapapansin. Pero second, functional rin talaga siya. Kaya yun talaga yung Kaya yun.
Nice, nice.
So
Yung lab mo ba, paano mo naisipan yung lab name mo? Like, paano nag-come up yung idea nung lab name?
Actually, anong tawag nito? Before kasi, before the Institute of Crop Science came into place, yung dalawang division, yung Plant Breeding and Plant Genetic Resources Division were separate. Kasi dahil nagkaroon ng reorganization at the same time, so naghanap rin ng niche na kung saan paano magkaroon ng something na would hopefully try to amend yung both the breeding and of course the genetic resources, so meaning from conservation to utilization. So kaya with that nang nito na pag-isipan yung Crop Breeding and Genetic Resources Laboratory, in which nandun yung conservation part that will later hopefully unfold to utilization. So hindi siya magsistay doon sa gene banks, but of course magagamit siya hopefully, not just the breeders, pwedeng direct utilization. At the same time dapat sustainable rin yung paggamit nila. Kaya yun po yung naging laboratory laboratory name. Yes.
Nung bata ka, ito ba yung pinangarap mong maging trabaho na maging scientist and lead your own research group?
Maganda katanong. Actually, sinabi nila kasi nga I love dati talaga gusto ko talaga yung mga halaman. So sabi nila magbubunot daw ako ng damo. So magbaso or sa amin in Bisaya. So yun yung yun yung magiging future ko kasi nga gusto kong maghalaman. But then at the same time, I remember rin na parang sabi ng ibang na parang gusto ko nang mag-research, gusto ko maging scientist. Pero sinabi sa akin ng one of my mga mga family na na nakakatanda na there's no such thing as as a scientist na position, no? And then I later realized na meron pala na may ganito palang may ganito palang work, and I'm just one of fortunate enough kasi I know kung gaano yung funding sa field natin dito sa Pilipinas, na I get to be able to do what I love. Pero nung nagsimula talaga ako, it was for the love of plants, no? And then yung curiosity na yon nag-trickle down. Pero all the time I when I remember when I was a kid talaga, gusto ko na talaga yung mga halaman. And hindi na siya nawala sa akin even after high school until now. Ayan.
Isa ka din ba sa mga kabataan noon na in-encourage na maging seaman or nurse?
Yes, actually kumbaga hindi lang hindi seaman, accountancy I remember. Tapos merong isa na dapat lawyer kasi nga maraming sa law. Tas kung nurse pero mag-medicine pero nurse just in case. So maraming ganong isa yon. And then ultimately kasi sa yung father ko, he was not able to finish or hindi siya college, no? Sabi niya you should choose, no? So parang doon thankful ako sa tatay ko na part na yon. And sabi ko kung ako papipiliin, so dapat agriculture, no, based, dapat agriculture related. So kaya as a result, ayan, eto tayo kayo na naitapos naman, na iraos ang agriculture. Yes.
Curious ako kasi binanggit mo kanina nung bata ka, mahilig ka sa halaman. So yung naisip ko lang, hindi ba pumasok sa isip mo na mag-pursue ng biology? Bakit mas prefer mong mapunta sa agriculture?
Oh, yes. Bukod sa siguro may kakulangan na rin ako sa appreciation siguro sa biology before. First rin when dati rin at talaga is hindi ako interested in the plant na parang kumbaga in situ lang na ano. So, kasi yung upbringing ko is palagi ko kasing pinagmamasdan yung lolo ko na nagtatanim. So ang ginagawa ko parang kasi wala kaming tanim sa bahay kasi maliit yung bahay namin. So nag-aano ako ng mga pots, tas doon ko tinatanim yung mga halaman ko, tas ako yung inaalagaan ko sila. Tas wala lang, saya lang ako kasi nakikita ko silang tumutubo and so on. Despite the very small area, no? Hindi ko nga alam kung bakit ako na-agree kasi wala naman talaga kaming lupa sa bahay namin. Puro nakakongkreto. Pero nagmula na yun, parang I had due respect. At the same time, nakita ko rin yung need, no? Yung plight. Kasi nga, because of food, because of na later came into picture when I went to high school, no? Kaya doon mas napagtibay pa na okay, it should be agri-related na ano. Pero if ever I had more information rin, I think biology is not off the table, lalo na yung botany or anything. Pero right now, ayun nito, when I look back at it, parang yung predisposition ko rin gawa ng situation kung saan ako na are more likely agri-based, kaya kasi more likely yung pakisalamuha ko sa halaman, hindi talaga in a natural sense but more likely in a cultivated sense kasi tinatanim ko sila nung bata pa ako. Yan.
Nung college, so after college, anong nangyari? Nagtrabaho ka ba muna or immediately pumasok ka ng grad school?
Yan. Interesting kasi nga before talaga ako gumraduate, sabi ko na talaga na gusto ko na talagang magturo. It was before anything else, like gusto ko mag-research pero I know for a fact na parang mahal ko talaga ang pagtuturo at nasisiyahan ako na example, even kahit sa klase na na-share ko lang sa mga klase ko yung natututunan ko. So yun, from the get-go, alam ko na parang if ever after, kahit saan man yan, ay gusto kong magturo. So that's why after kong nag-graduate, nag-apply ako. Actually, I did not expect na dito sa UP UP na magtuturo. Pero one of the initial na in-applyan ko was actually Aurora State. Ayan. So, hi Ascot. Yes, kasi nga,
Layo,
dito? Yes, kasi sabi ko, it should be na parang, di ba dapat parang decentralize yung science, kung saan ka makakatulong. Parang all the time, pag example, UP ka na, parang yun yung palaging na Actually, dala-dala ko pa rin siya until now. Kaya yun, fortunately enough rin naman, ang nangyari kasi there was really a need rin dito sa amin sa institute for younger kasi nga parang aging yung faculty members during that time. So parang naitawag lang rin na so as a result, ang una kong job at the same time was to become a teaching associate dito sa university, in which it was a part-time nag-aaral at the same time nagwo-work as a instructor here in UPLB. So ang tawag nung item, it's not an item actually. Ang nun ay it's actually a scholarship more than an item. So yun, I get to teach at the same time So doon nagsimula talaga.
Ito yung free yung master's tuition no, di ba?
Yes. And then magtuturo ka ng ilang units and then mag-aaral ka. Sabi ko, wow, may ganun pala. So parang sabi ko, it was heaven sent na pwede ako makapag-aral kasi gusto ko rin naman mag-aral talaga. And until now, favorite ko pa rin mag-aral. And gusto ko talaga magturo. Yun yung aking nun. So kaya nung nagano ako, sabi ko, maghanap talaga ako kahit saan man yan. Pero sabi ko sana sa mas malayo sana sa Imperial Manila. Yun yung aking initial na Kaso anong tawag nito? Ito tinawag ng kasi it's a call daw. So yun, tinugunan naman natin. Pero if it were me initially, kung ako yung papapiliin, I would have chosen somewhere far from the center. And
pero yung 'di ba, nag-masters ka diyan and also PhD sa UPLB. Paano nag-open up din yung opportunity na mag-second masters pa sa the Netherlands? At bakit bakit mo pa naisipan mag-second masters? Hindi ka na ba napagod kakaaral?
Yun. Actually, favorite ko rin mag-aral. Bukod sa magturo, yun. Favorite ko talaga siya. So, how can I say, parang hindi kasi ako masyadong, although marami akong naaral on my own, pero iba pa rin yung structured na pag-aaral. It reinforces you na parang may reinforcement na kailangan mo talaga mag-aral. So, yun. During the time, after my master, so floating ako, na parang, okay, anong gagawin ko next? So, I look for programs na, na online. So, I got onto the online masters in plant breeding. And by the way, yun nga, to correct lang, anong tawag ito, hindi pa ako natapos kasi during the time nag-pandemic, hindi ko natapos yung thesis ko sa Netherlands kasi nga
okay.
nag-lockdown ng ilang taon and hindi na ako, well, pwede pa naman tapusin pero yun, I got to finish my coursework kasi nga online masters naman siya for 2 years and then the thesis was supposedly to be conducted on site pero anong tawag, hindi tayo pinalad na ano, but yun, it's still not off the table pero sabi ko sa sarili ko, anong tawag nito, dapat continuous yung learning kasi nandito kasi ako sa academe. So meaning, hindi pwede na hindi ako maging a brisk rin kasi I owe that quality ng teaching at the same time ng knowledge na up to date siya sa aking mga estudyante. So kaya ganun. At the same time gusto ko talaga siya may magandang natututunan na interconnect. And until now, by the way, yun, mag-aaral uli ako pero yes, anong tawag dito, just part-time.
Aral ng ano to, second PhD o third masters?
Hindi, it's kaka-accept lang. Pero i-broadcast ko
Ay,
lang.
okay.
Sige, pero okay lang
too
naman.
early to...
Hindi naman, pero kaka-accept ko lang. Pero hoping na when everything, I applied for a certificate program sa UP Manila in biochemistry. So, yun, I just got accepted. Trying to iron things out na kung paano, pero I'll be doing it part-time. So, and yun, sabi ko kahit naman walang, there are no boundaries, no? Kasi pwede kang bumaba at kasi alam mo sa sarili mo na you also need to become a teacher, you must also constantly learn. Ang hirap mag-learn if you don't, if you won't be able to really give time, no? So, kaya, ayun, anong tawag dito? Trying pa rin until the very end.
Ayun, so I guess madami na kaming napagkwentuhan sa naging journey ni Sir Rio, no? At kung may additional questions kayo dun sa interested ako dun sa yung Wageningen University mo na pero baka next time na lang siguro na kwentuhan. So ngayon pag-usapan naman natin yung isa sa mga naging research ni Sir Rio. So ang title nito ay The Vitex Trifolia Complex in the Philippines. So first question palagi sa segment na to, no? Can you explain your paper in one sentence? Tungkol saan ba ito?
Okay. Gamit yung iba-ibang datos, no? So morphology or yung anyo, yung genetic, no? Or molecular na tinatawag, no? Or yung lahi ng halaman, napag-alaman natin na ang lagundi natin ay hindi lang isa, hindi dalawa, hindi tatlo, hindi apat, but 5 ibang uri or ibang species ng halaman. Yun talaga yung and yung dalawa out of the 5 na ito ay actually endemic or dito lang sa Pilipinas makita. Yan. Yun po yung pinaka gist ng kwento po na ito. Yan.
Paano nagsimula yung project na to? Bakit ka nagka-interest aralin yung species ng lagundi sa Pilipinas?
So, sobrang interesting ng question na to. Actually, hindi ko talaga naging interest unang-una sa lahat na parang ito na, lagundi na. It was more like buong medicinal plants. And actually, until now, buong medicinal naman, plants naman. So, nagsimula lang to kasi na in our division, no, part kasi ako, I was hired for plant genetic resources conservation and management. Now, the area of focus ng aking item or aking research were medicinal plants and actually native species and in general. So yun, dahil dun, naglabas tayo ng mga projects na kung saan focus dito, in particular sa medicinal plants. So nang tiningnan namin, one of the earliest research was on 2016-2017 that was funded by PCHRD was that we needed to collect the genetic resources across the Philippines ng medicinal plants ng 10 halamang gamot because there was no repository that time. Now, yun, anong tawag nito? It wasn't really, now, yun, tsaka lang nag-enter into place yung mga major na mga halaman kasi nakita natin pagkakaiba-iba sa kanila. But in terms sa parang pinili, more likely, it was really serendipitous, no? Parang tinawag tayo ng halaman at, at anong tawag nito at of course ng buhay na aralin sila. But of course, mahal ko naman ang lahat ng halaman in general. Pero anong tawag nito, yung mga lagundi, isa yon sa 10 halamang gamot na unang tinuklas through the Philippine Biorepository Network. And nung nakita natin na magkakaiba-iba sila at sobrang diverse at nahirapan kaming i-classify sila. Kaya doon nakapag-focus tayo sa kanila kasi imagine a major na halaman, no? Actually I would even argue na top 1 siya, no, out of in terms of an economic sense and production sa Pilipinas yung lagundi. Pero nakikita natin na sobrang diverse pala nila within the kaya doon nakita namin na there is some some credit into it to push more for research ng mga lagundi. Kaya yun, nabadbad tayo sa lagundi. Yes.
Grabe, 2016 mo siya sinimulan. So parang 10 years na tong 10 years na ginagawa tong study na to.
Yes. Mga 10 taon siguro or more, yes.
So nung nung nag-grad school ka, yung nagma-masters ka, ito na yung ginagawa mo, yung Lagundina and other medicinal plants.
Kasi when you're hired as a faculty member, parang lahat all in one. So, yung medicinal plants in general, yun yung and actually in my masters, ang pinaka ko is more on pili. Yun yung kasi isa yun sa endemic rin na medicinal plant, which until now, tinutuklas pa rin namin. Yung pili, elemi, sahing, yun yung mga, yun. Pero out of the many medicinal plants. Pero yun, nandun sila. Parang kumbaga, pagsasabay-sabayin mo yung ilan na mga halaman. Kasi unlike sa iba kasing mga halaman na marami talagang nakatutok. Like example, rice, corn, coconut, meron talagang institusyon. Itong mga halaman na to, na native, underutilized, more likely walang magkakaling at walang magre-research sa kanila kung wala talagang magbibigay ng lakas at oras at panahon. Kaya sabi ko, anong tawag nito? Kaya minsan sa research, pinipili ko talaga yung aking oras na kung anong ilalaan ko. Pero yun, sinabi ko na i-devote ko talaga part of my time sa medicinals. And yun, kaya yun, sila sabay-sabay sila since 2016 until now. Ay, nandito pa rin at tuluyang tinutuklas. Yeah.
Kapag sinabing medicinal plant, iba to sa mga herbal lang, di ba? Tama ba?
Oh, interesting. Depende kung sino yung ipapadescribe mo sa anong tawag nito. But ultimately, pag sinabi nating herbal, medicinal plants, no? So pag may approved therapeutic claims, no, meron kasi iba yung classification ng FDA, meron din sa World Health Organization. But ultimately, pag tinranslate natin sila, ang medicinal plants, ito yung mga halamang gamot. So, yun, yung ibang, they can be considered as medicinal plants in a wide sense, no? Yung mas loose na terminology. Pero kung titingnan talaga natin at magsasang-ayon tayo sa World Health Organization, sa FDA, etc. So, stricter sila na dapat yung ibang medicinal plants sa tawagin lang nating medicinal pag may approved therapeutic claims at of course, back up by safety and efficacy ng mga Pero in general, kasi hindi ko rin i-discredit kasi yung mga taong nagtuklas kasi hindi naman rin yung iba, hindi naman natutuklasan kung wala yung social component ko. So kahit wala pa yung clinical trials, kung makikita natin pag ginagamit ng ating mga mamamayan, no, yung mga communities natin, at ito yung mga heritage na pinamana pa ng kinaninunuan, in a sense, of course, nagkakaroon na rin ng value siya towards that concept ng medicinal plant natin. Kaya yun, anong tawag nito? So in a loose sense, yes, yung mga halamang gamot at yung mga herbal na tinatawag, yes, they can still be considered as medicinal plant, no. Yung ibang tawag lang ay herbal drugs used for traditional medicine, no, yung mga ganon. So iba lang yung wording, iba lang yung pero ang konsepto nun ay nakakapagpagaling sila or may naidudulot silang maayos na benepisyo sa ating katawan. So yun. Yeah.
Yung pinagkaiba lang, kayo mas strict kayo dun sa may FDA or whatever yung tawag doon.
Actually, dahil nasa genetic resources kami we're really leaning into also recognizing yung medicinal value even sa community level, at the botanical
gets.
level. Even now, ang FDA, meron na silang parang kung ginagawang pipeline na you could actually register it as traditional medicine rather than herbal medicine kasi parang iba yun. Pero herbal drugs used in traditional medicine kasi yun yung parang pag-alaman mo na yung long record of historical use ng halaman na to, then later it can be applied for that. Yun yung parang anong tawag nito, isang pipeline nun. Pero bukod nun at alam natin naman na meron talaga tayong mga anong tawag nito, mga utilization ng mga halaman na beyond that scope. And yun, for me, they are still medicinal kasi in crop science kasi meron kaming concept ng sustainable agriculture. No? Parang hindi lang, and sustainable agriculture, may dimension doon na holistic na parang, kumbaga, pag sinabi mong holistic, hindi ang paggagamot ay hindi lang sa physical, no? So, yes, even in a spiritual or metaphysical sense, ay anong tawag nito, kasali pa rin yun sa paggagamot at marami tayong recorded na ethnobotanic for that ethnobotanical purpose na nakikita natin sa community pag pupunta tayo doon. Yun, I still for me at sa akin lang to na anong tawag nito, hindi para sa lahat ng scientific community, I still consider them in a wide sense medicinal plant.
Yung pag-identify nung iba-ibang species, curious ako, paano ba actually dinidefine yung isang species ng organism? Kasi pag may narinig ako dati or nabasa somewhere na very vague, pag hinimay-himay mo yung definition ng species, parang very vague siya kasi minsan titingnan mo lang siya kung magkamukha sila or hindi, di ba? Ganun.
Yes. Actually, even now, nagdedebate pa rin. Or di man yung debate. Meron tayong tinatawag lang na iba-ibang species concepts, no? Or species, how species concepts came into play. So meaning, example, meron tayong ecological, meron tayong biological, meron din tayong yung morphological, meron din tayong phylogenetic. So meaning, parang yung iba, example, pag biological yung species concept na gagamitin mo, ay dapat hindi sila pwedeng mag-interbreed or hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng hybridization or introgression in between two species. So those are two separate species. Yun yung biological species concept. Morphological naman, pag nagkaroon ng ibang anyo. So meaning how they look, how in terms sa anong tawag nito, sa kanilang color, sa kanilang shapes and sizes and all other things and characters, yun yung morphological. So pag nag-iba siya, ihihiwalay nila yon. Yung iba naman, phylogenetic based on, of course, evolutionary history. Of course, kung sino yung magkakagrupo in terms of lineage, in terms of ancestors. So, not everyone agrees na ito lang yung gagamitin. So, yung others naman are really integrative, no? So, kaya nagkaroon ng parang integrative taxonomy na ginagamitan ng lahat ng species concept at pag nag-agree ang mga ito ay more likely mas separate natin. So, until now, yung iba, pag nagpapangalan ng species, they subject primarily to the morphological. Of course, with due reason. Kasi kung morphological or anyo yung nakikita, that becomes very pragmatic, no? So meaning, may saysay, meaning magagamit ka agad, di ba? Pag nakikita natin yung pagkakaiba-iba at the morphological or pang labas na anyo level, no? So kaya anong tawag nito? Kaya most of the time ginagamitan man ng ibang konsepto, ibang ebidensya, iba-ibang lines of evidence ay anong tawag nito, at the bottom line ng iba pag nagtinitingnan pa rin nila ay kung meron bang sapat na ebidensya na mapag-iiba ba sila in terms sa anyo nila. So yun yung pinaka basic, no, out of everything. But ultimately pwedeng gamitin yung ibang species concept and of course it can be up for debate. Pero that's why minsan pag if it were other people na parang minsan pag foreign rin yung nagtitingin sa concept of a species, hindi pala siya ganun ka-universal or hindi rin ganun ka-absolute. Kasi minsan ang paggrupo-grupo ng mga halaman ay based sa hypothesis mo, based sa anong tawag nito, kung ano, based sa, of course sa evidences, but at the same time kung hypothesis mo that further unifies these lines of evidence na meron ka. Kaya yun, anong tawag nito? Isa siyang mas komplikado pa siya than it usually sounds, pero dapat 'di ba universal, stable pag meron kang pinangalanan mo ang isang species, no? Pero it can really be at the same time fluid rin, lalo na pag may bagong ebidensya na nakita na kumbaga ay mag-iiba ang treatment mo sa species na to kasi may nakikita kang pagkakaiba na hindi nakita dati. So yun, that merits na, okay, paghiwalayin ko pala dapat to sila, no? So yun, hypothesis level yun, hypothesis building. But of course, it's based on the available data during that time and how, and of course, your knowledge about it and your hypothesis. Ayan.
So with that, anong klaseng data yung kinolektan nyo dito at paano nyo sinubdivide into 5 different species yung lagundi dito sa Pilipinas?
Oh, nice question. So, actually, before pa lang sa amin, hindi lang natin na pag-alaman lang nung una na, ay dinivide na ito ng previous scientists or researchers pa or taxonomists before sa akin. So, meaning, pag binalikan mo at titingnan mo yung treatment nila ng iba, example yung kay Dekok or yung kay Sengun, yung pinaka-latest, yung 2024, dinivide na nila yung Negundo into separate entities. Now, hindi lang natin na-update yung ating mga collections, no, at ang ating mga halaman, ng naming ng ating mga halaman. Usual naman ito rin kasi minsan kaya kailangan of course ilathala yung pagkakaiba nila para mas mabilis yung changes ma-accept sa society. So, before that, yung ating species na talaga, kung titingnan mo as early as 2017 or 2018 during the Flora Malesiana, pag tiningnan mo, like parang kung i-key out mo yung mga lagundi ng Pilipinas talaga, at least it will fall under at least 3 species. So, 3 siya. Pero may dalawa kasi na parang 3 to 4 actually, 3 to 4. Kasi Negundo to yung pang-apat. So, yung Trifolia, Bicolor, Negundo, and yung Rotundifolia, yung apat na species na yon, nag-iisa lang sila. Na makiki-out mo na yon. But then, pag nagkika, parang may mali. Parang hindi siya nag-a-accede doon sa, sa mga characters na, kumbaga, nakatala doon sa ilang species na yun, yung ibang mga populations at individuals na meron tayo. So dahil doon, tiningnan natin yung iba-ibang collection natin sa buong bansa at tiningnan rin natin, not just sa collection actually, but in situ, pinuntahan yung iba-ibang part from Luzon to Mindanao. And tiningnan rin natin yung sa ibang bansa.
Parang pinuntahan nyo talaga sila sa field, hinanap nyo sa field yung...
Yes.
Okay.
Tapos tiningnan rin sa ibang bansa from Thailand, Indonesia, Taiwan, China, pumunta rin sa Spanya, no, to check the European and of course yung mga herbarium specimens, no, ng mga halaman, and ultimately from there nakita natin na iba pala yung mga characteristics natin in terms of morphology. Aside from that, nag-invite rin tayo ng isang taxonomist, si Dr. Seda Sengon, na na rin namin, collaborator na, okay, with that, meron kaming so can you also verify na ganun rin yung and luckily, she did verify, no, na parang out of her all experience, even sa kanya, sa expeditions niya, even from Australia, in Southeast Asia, until East Asia, na mga iba talaga yung sa atin. So, doon nagkaroon kami ng lakas ng loob at the same time. Now, bukod nun, dinagdagan pa natin ng genetic data, yung datos tungkol sa mga DNA ng mga halaman. And doon, kasi sabi ko, ang hirap kasi pag hindi mo alam lahat. So sabi natin, what if yung mga pagkakaiba na to pala ay parang plastic or meaning nag-iiba siya depending sa environment kung saan siya pinatubo. Ang ginawa namin, okay, patubuin natin sila lahat replicated sa field, no, in an experimental design. So this is already borderline experimental taxonomy. So nakita pa rin namin na magkaiba. Sabi natin, tingnan natin yung phytochemical, nakita pa rin namin na magkaiba.
Ay,
So,
wait. Paano nagwo-work yung ganong setup na patuboy nyo sa field? Kukuha kayo sa isang area tapos ililipat nyo sa, for example, kumuha kayo sa Luzon, lilipat nyo sa Mindanao, ganun ba? Iba?
Bali, ang mangyayari nun, dahil pag meron kang dalawang konsepto ng species na akala mo na magkakaiba na parang dapat ay isahan lang, itatanim mo sila side by side in the same environment. So dahil pag in same environment yun, yung pagkakaiba na nila will then be more genetic na lang, yung based sa kanilang genotype or sa kanilang lahi. So doon mo malalaman if durable ba talaga yung pagkakaiba nila. Kaya marirecord mo pa rin yung genetic diversity even with just the phenotype or yung data nila in terms sa kanilang anyo if the environment is controlled. So, ang ginawa namin, of course, dahil may collection na from the previous 2016, 2017 na mga expeditions, so tinanim namin sa field in a replicated randomized complete block design. Tapos with borders at yung ibang concept namin ng yung aming hypothesized species concepts. And tinignan namin whether or not the variations na nakikita namin sa herbarium, sa pagkakarakterize namin biologically will persist. And even sa phytochemistry, no? And it did persist, no? So yung pagkakaiba persisted. For the reason, bakit parang medyo overkill talaga yun rin yung some reason na ginawa namin. Because we want to be reassured because Lagundi is a very economical, popular crop ng Pilipinas, no? So parang we wouldn't want to make any mistakes when we want to claim it as something different. We want it to be solid. Tapos for the second reason na, of course, we want it to be strong kasi initially, Lagundi was identified to be Vitex negundo. Yung Vitex negundo, hindi yun sa Pilipinas makikita. So pag tiningnan mo yung distribution nun, ang pinaka-distribution nun is China. But then, yung Lagundi, pag tiningnan mo sa atin daw, nakalagay introduced. And there was even a problem with that concept of introduction. Kasi nga, meaning hindi tayo dapat nagpapatubo nito kasi wala tayong soberanya over it. Parang ganon. But then, yun, nung nakita namin na, hindi pala siya introduced sa atin. Iba pala yung atin. At yung sa atin is endemic at dito lang sa Pilipinas makikita. Then we must make more effort to be able to control that narrative. Kasi, kumbaga, at the same time, we owe it not just to us, but of course to our ancestors who discovered and cultivated these plants, no? Through time. And kaya nadala natin sa atin. So, kaya kinailangan namin i-subject not just to one, but multiple species concepts and multiple lines of evidence, rather, in order for us to be able to delineate really this species. And luckily, the universe conspired na pag-alaman na magkakaiba pala talaga sila. But it took a whole barangay, it took a lot of people, it took also a lot of communication kasi it was very difficult na pumunta sa ibang lugar. But yun, kasi and nakita kasi natin na if we do separate the species at durable yung separation na to, then by the virtue of Convention on Biodiversity, if dito lang sa Pilipinas yun makikita, then we have the sovereign rights. May soberanya tayo sa paggamit at pag-produce and even pag-export ng mga genetikong yaman natin or the genetic resources. Kaya yun, sabi ko, I believed in it as well. So in such a point na medyo it's borderline obsession. pero yun, anong tawag dito?
I guess kailangan mo yun sa ganitong klaseng work. I'm assuming ilang libong samples yung tiningnan mo para ma-define itong 5 species na to.
Definitely. Herbarium pa lang, I think it's more than 4,000 samples that we looked into para lang, we say, makikita ba namin even at the dried specimen, can we tell them apart? And yes, and it's a resounding yes. Kaya sabi ko, okay, then this might be a durable species hypothesis. And so yun, kaya sabi natin, okay, let's proceed and then hopefully yung mga pag na-publish siya at naitala siya, we let the community decide. Pero the intent really was that, no, na para of course ma-reinforce yung narrative na our plants, our medicinal, our Lagundi emanates from the Philippines, no. Na hindi lang siya kung bastang na-introduced, hindi lang siya kung basta-bastang kinuha sa ibang bansa, but of course sa sariling atin to, and we must be proud of it and we must be able to utilize them sustainably and hopefully harness its potential further. Ayan.
Kanina may nabanggit ka about distribution. So yung 5 species ba na to, yung bawat isa may certain makikita mo lang siya sa certain provinces sa Pilipinas. Can you share yung distribution nito?
Ay, that's nice. Actually, interesting, pag pumunta ka sa ibang lugar ng Pilipinas, iba-ibang Lagundi yung gamit nila. So as an example, Elmerai, yung isang endemic species ng Pilipinas, more likely in the north, no? Okay, so actually northwest in particular. So from Ilocos, Cagayan, no, until Zambales, dyan, banda, marami yan sa kanila. So pag pumunta ka sa kanila, yung despite kahit magkatabi yung ibang species, sasabihin ng mga locals na okay, ito talaga yung mas mabisa for them. Yan.
Ah.
Yes, pero pag pumunta ka sa Visayas, dito makikita mo na yung trifolia at bicolor yung ano. So example, in one community, pumunta kami sa Cebu, no? Ang tawag nito, sabi nila, ito yan, normal lang naman yan, tubo lang yung mga lagundi dito. Even in Mindoro, before yung sa Puerto Galera, yung isang port doon, ang tawag ang kanyang before it was changed its name, Lagundian yung tawag sa ano, kasi there were a lot of Lagundi na actually were displaced na. But yun, anong tawag nito? Yun yung ginagamit. And pag pumunta ka sa Bicol, kasi wala yung trifolia, wala yung bicolor, punta ka dun sa Bicol region, makikita mo, yung kanilang gamit rotundifolia, yung maliliit, no, na lagundi. And yun lang, anong tawag nito? Dun mo makikita na although yung iba kalat, yung pinaka kinagamit ng industry, yun yung hypothesized and at the same time, initially, with initial lines of evidence na meron is the hybrid between the two species, Vitex elmeri and Vitex bicolor, na coming from the north and the south, na nag-meet sila along the Manila area, yun, na kung saan ngayon ay urbanized na, unfortunately. And that's why yun rin yung unang mga na hypothetically unang naka-interact ng mga tao. And it's really quite vigorous in terms of growth. Kaya yun, nakikita mo na yun yung nagkaroon na from that lagundi, yun yung usually kinocultivate. Kaya nung pinangalanan siya ng grupo ay Vitex arvensis, kasi arvensis from the fields, no? Yun kasi yun yung palaging kinocultivate at yun yung usually ginagamit under cultivation ng ating mga large pharmaceutical companies. Yun rin. So kaya anong tawag
Ay,
nito?
wait.
So
Confirm ko lang kung tama yung pagkaintindi ko. Kasi 'di ba yung Lagundi, sikat siya sa Pilipinas na gamot sa ubo, lagnat, ganun. So yung sinasabi mo, 'di ba may certain species na ginagamit para gawin yung medicine na yon.
yes,
Pero
yes.
dito nakita nyo, mali yung label sa species na yon. Iba yung actual species na tama ba yung pagkaintindi ko?
Okay. Anong tawag dito? Actually, hindi naman sa mali yung label. Mali lang yung interpretation that time. Kasi during that time, it was subsumed, yung ibang mga concept na to, yung ay subsumed under the concept ng Vitex nigundo. Now, ang ginawa natin sa research natin, hiniwalay natin sila sa isang malaking species concept, yung mga population na yun sa Vitex nigundo. At kaya, nagkaroon tayo ng Vitex elmeri at saka Vitex arvensis. Yung arvensis,
Gets.
yung arvensis actually, hindi rin siya under sa nigundo, sa bicolor siya. Pero, long story short, parang dati, if we were to use the treatment na Vitex nigundo, it could be correct naman rin. It's just that, ngayon, we must update it into the more appropriate na pangalan depending on which is our Philippine endemics, no, na Vitex our Philippine endemic Vitex arvensis. So yun, kaya yun yung call for that na, and hopefully ay may ayos or ano, but definitely it's a win for us kasi kahit naman hindi, kasi labeling entails marketing rin eh. So pero just to control the narrative, no, na we are not we are not misappropriating, na hindi tayo kumukuha ng ibang henetikong yaman sa ibang lugar, but using our own. That is already very empowering, not just sa pharmaceutical companies but also to the regular consumer and grower and backyard gardener ng Lagundi natin. Ayan.
Yung question ko labas na to sa sa
Yes,
paper
yes.
mo, pero curious lang din ako. May ano ba? Kasi syempre iba-ibang species. Yung iba-ibang species na yon, parang iba yung effectiveness niya ba as a gamot or wala namang ganun?
Oh, that's so interesting. Actually, that is a research question. Tama na yan. So meaning, kung dahil napag-alaman natin ang lima, now, the next thing to do is, tingnan natin, are the other species also the other species show the same efficacy? Kasi yun yung kailangan pa nating pagsaliksikan. Kasi nga, yung iba, it's a new species concept like Vitex elmeri. Yung iba naman, recently lang natin na further classify or na-update. So yun, dapat natin makita. Kasi ultimately, ginagamit na siya. So that is a biological fact na ginagamit siya ng community, nandun siya. Anong tawag nito? Iba-iba yung ginagamit nila. Now, it's up for research and science to figure that out na hopefully, kasi one of the major reasons why we wanted to place a proof of concept for each species was actually because some of them are, and even communities we encounter, that they are being gaslit into submission. Grabe yung ano, no? Gaslit into submission to using Vitex arvensis. Bakit? Kasi yun yung may clinical data. Yun yung may preclinical, strong, solid evidence, right? So dahil doon, parang sasabihin ng iba na, wala kaming ebidensya, nakakalason yan, or ganito yung ganyan. Without even validating at a multi-location validation kung whether or not they are truly toxic or less efficacious. So yun yung ano, and I think that results to hemorrhage, no? A loss in terms of sociocultural knowledge na attached to the genetic resource. So yun yung medyo kumbaga mahirap tanggapin para sa akin. Kasi obviously there are already accounts or reports now. If they're gaslit, so they shift to a different use. Pero all the while, we were not able to prove anyway na yung others are also as efficacious or as toxic or as less toxic. So yun, kaya dapat pagsaliksikan talaga siya further. Kasi it might be that we are limiting ourselves, no, to just a single species when in fact we have more than 4 or 5 species of lagundi in the Philippines. Ayan.
Ayun, so I guess madami na kaming napagkwentuhan dun sa results ng study. For anyone interested, check nyo na lang yung link sa description. Lagi namang nakalink yung mga studies dito. Ngayon naman, punta naman natin yung more on behind the scenes, at unang question ko lagi ay yung funding to do this. I think na-mention mo kanina, Picard ba? Or
yes.
may na-mention ka ba?
Actually, it's marami siyang naging maraming nagtulong-tulong. Kasi yung una talaga for the collecting ng medicinal plants, it was through the PCHRD, the Philippine Council for Health Research and Development. So yun, the PCHRD. So through the Philippine Biorepository Network Program, and of course, I thank PCHRD for that. At the same time, then Picard came into place kasi nga, of course, sa continuity ng studies, so namin, paano yan? Pag nakolekta, we must be able to evaluate them in the field. So that's where Picard came into place. And in determining the evidences, kaya doon nakita natin yung multiple lines ng genetic data, which then further spiraled, no, into many other things. Pero ultimately, it initially funded by PCHRD and then Picard, and yun, Picard moved forward with it, no, and of course UPLB and yung mga tao, kasi yung iba naman hindi nakasulat yung funding dito, pero maraming kasi example, I did parts of this in my dissertation sa PhD, and even UP provided me some money kasi hindi naman lahat kasi some of them are really basic research work na example, titingnan mo yung population ng Vitex, or yung iba talaga galing sa laboratory members sa puso na sasamahan ka sa field, or anong tawag dito, or pag pupunta ka ng herbarium magme-measure. So yun, I think yung mga stakeholders na sila at funders na sila in terms of their time and resources. So yun, kaya yun yung mga and of course yung communities kasi they also share at the same time kasi nandun na sa mga home gardens nila yung mga halaman na nakatanim doon kasi it's really cultivated widely now. So yun, anong tawag nito, we owe it to everyone. And kaya ang hirap mag-pinpoint, pero ultimately yun yung pasasalamat para sa lahat, no? And in particular, as I've said, sa DOST Picard and of course DOST PCHRD. Yes.
So dito sa study, may mare-recall ka ba na best and worst experience mo nung ginawa mo to?
Okay. Best experience was, anong tawag dito? Was, for me, anong tawag dito? It was during those times na parang, I don't know, I parang niro-romanticize ko yung pagkakawalang pera, no? Pero it was when you're down at wala kang alam, at wala kang you really see the heart in people who help you. Kasi others, anong tawag nito, it's easy to have a name in science na mas madali siyang, you could easily access many things kasi nga your name or your social value is high. no? So, but when you're a nobody, in terms of taxonomy, when you're a nobody in terms in plant science, you only have people who are kind enough to believe or to help you as well. So, yun, marami yun. Lalo na sa lahat ng herbaria, the Philippine National Herbarium, no? The MNH, Museum of Natural History here in UPLB, and of course, the herbaria from Thailand, etc. And of course, our team, no? So, mahirap isa-isa lahat, pero from Cedric, Nadine, Tommy, Joyce, Ma'am Tess, and Dr. Seda, and Rosel, Jessa, and many, many more anong tawag nito? Yun, dun ang pinaka-best experience ko kasi I believe na yung iba kasi they were placing in time as well eh. And I don't think it's just because they're bound by a contract or bound by any reinforcative na parang kailangan it's a stick, no? So yun, doon ko nakikita yung kindness ng mga tao, and that was the best experience for me kasi even Dr. Seda Sengo nung pumunta siya dito, wala kaming perang pang punta sa kanya. So, pumunta talaga siya kasi ginagustuhan niya. And we ended up becoming friends actually. So, yun yung doon. So, kaya doon,
Si
yun yung
Dr.
pinaka-best.
Sengon ay from which institute?
From UK. So, she also did her research in Kew Gardens and of course, in Kew. And then, yun, in London. So, yun. Kaya, now, anong tawag nito? Retired na kasi siya. So, she's traveling throughout the world. Pero she's a taxonomist in Vitex na Kaya, yun. Yun yung best experience ko. I think it's more of the community and the people behind. And I think yung halaman rin, kasali doon. Both the seen and unseen. Nandun sila lahat. It's the overall dynamics of it. Kasi, siguro yung worst or yung sad experience ko is that kasi nalibot ko rin yung ibang parts ng bansa is that how we treat our genetic resources yung talaga. Kasi ultimately, di ba, native yung iba sa atin, pero I see many of our Lagundi na bukod dun sa in situ population that they are displaced. Pag binalikan ko, wala na. So yun, isa yun sa mga mas sa sad, bukod dun sa genetic erosion na yun at erosion in general, genetic at the same time cultural, no, na erosion, no, ng ethnobotanical uses niya nawawala rin kasi they're being gaslit na, oy, hindi naman yan, baka masira yung ganito nyo. So, I'm that's quite sad kasi they are all Lagundino and many of this, no, pagkikita mo talaga traditional yung pinanggalingan. So meaning kumbaga pinamana. So meaning yun, heritage talaga ng kinununuan natin. Kasi kung ano yung nila, yun rin yung cultivate nila, yun rin susunod. So yun yung malulungkot kasi may ilan kaming mga halaman na nakaroon sa herbarium specimen na preserved more than 100 years. Tapos binabalikan namin yung mga sites na yun. Ngayon wala na, like fully concrete, or yung iba naman ay puro bahayan na. So doon medyo malulungkot ka kasi yung ibang expeditions namin, it wasn't all successful. Iba, bumabalik talaga kami empty-handed kasi kasi walang makuha kasi because of the conversion and of course displacement and genetic erosion nangyayari.
Dito sa study nyo, may figure ba dun sa paper na ito yung nagbigay ng confidence inyo na, ay, ito, sure na tayo na 5 species siya, publish na natin. May ganong figure ba dun or saang part dun ng paper na kasabi yun?
Yung na na parang iba na talaga siya, na parang kumbaga separate na talaga siya sa actually one of the largest talaga, strongest na parang kumbaga kasi pag morphology you constantly doubt yourself na parang pero if we place additional genetic data and then talaga siya doon. Actually, yung isang magandang figure doon ay actually hindi nakalagay doon sa papel. Kasi yung notice na yung treatment ko was only at the Philippine boundaries. But I could have treated the whole world na Vitex trifolia complex. Kasi for one reason, for many reasons, ang first reason ko noon ay ay bago lang na yung treatment, no, ng aking mentor si Seda Sengon. At the same time, at the same time, ayoko rin na palaging nagbabago-bago yung mga nomenclature na place out there kasi nahihirapan rin mag-absorb yung kung ganun ka variable, no. So ang sabi ko rin na yung iba rin some of the species that we're about to name ay parang I feel it's misappropriating if I just name it myself. And I'm coming from the Philippines, pero yung distribution nun galing dito sa ibang bansa. So I said I needed better na collaborators so that I would not do the same helicopter science na ginagawa ng ibang mga foreign counterparts natin sa atin. I would elevate myself from that. Yun rin. So, yun, wala dun sa papel, but pag makikita mo dun, isang pinakaano talaga dun is, anong tawag nito, nung tiningnan namin lahat ng even at the high frequency na SNP data na kuha namin, we can really delineate our species. And yung and that's the close second. Ang first talaga is when I really saw the Vitex ni Gundo in person. Wala kasi siya doon sa figure. kasi anong tawag nito, ang hirap kasi magsabi na iba to, pero yun nakikita mo lang siya sa picture or nakikita mo sa herbarium na patay. Pero pag nakita mo siya nabuhay at nakita mo, ito pala yung Vitex ni Gundo, ay iba nga. Yun talaga yung sabi, iba pala talaga. So doon malalaman mo, okay, this is really a separate entity, no? Kasi yun, bounce kasi ako doon sa at the Philippine setting. Pero anong tawag nito? Pag nakita mo yung tunay na halaman na tinitreat nila as Vitex ng Gundo, you would know na okay, sobrang layo ng mukha. Yun talaga yung makikita. Oh, okay, I see now. And then yun, hopefully later, ayan, anong tawag nito? We are able to build more on the but ultimately yun, I think in terms sa Vitex ang message ko rin dun sa is that kaya natin, no? Ang tawag nito, we can be at the forefront, no? Rin sa research. Yun rin yung parang ako na despite ko walang may kahirapan at kakanalan talaga. So anong tawag nito, I don't mind kasi that's our reality and I embrace that and hopefully we move forward from that. Yeah.
Yun, so nakakaisang oras na rin tayo, no? So,
Yes.
Sir Rio, before we let you go, can you share yung mga ma-advise mo sa mga aspiring researchers?
Ayan. Actually, I actually have two advice. No? Parang to believe na we all have space in science and to have the humility and compassion towards others. Yun, akala natin na separate yung dalawa. Pero humor me lang. Ito yung aking reason for that actually. One is to believe that we all have a space in science. Number one, if I were to build my expertise based on how a plant grows, for example, a tree, take an example, Canarium or PD. So, obserbahan ko siya from end to end. Yung life niya is longer than mine, right? So, if I were to observe one tree or even a few trees, etc., I cannot observe other trees, right? We simply don't have the time and the resources, right? So, meaning, kung isang puno pa lang ngayon, I can build expertise, I can build research, I can discover even as a naturalist or through naturalistic observation. Then others will also have different sets of observations and experience that are still well-intentioned and valuable. No? So meaning, lahat tayo, ang raming pwedeng diskubrihin at ang raming pwedeng aralin. At hindi porket nag-aral ko na itong isang to ay wala nang maaaral na iba pa. Marami pa. And that points to the second part. Kasi since I cannot observe many trees at the same time, is to have the humility and compassion. Kasi, bakit humility? Kasi, therefore, dahil isa lang yung naaral ko, hindi ko rin maaral yung iba. Right? And therefore, it gives you more, it humbles you, no? Na, to be able to say na, I can only learn so much, but I cannot learn everything. And, it gives you compassion. Kasi, meaning nun, dahil limited rin yung iba, you treat the other people with compassion. Kasi nga, anong tawag dito? Iba yung pinagdadaanan nila, iba yung inaral nila, iba yung situation nila. Equally valuable, probably, or even more. Who are we to say? But ultimately, they bring value to the table. So, kaya, to the aspiring researchers, huwag kayong matakot. At anong tawag nito? We all have space and we must take space. Lalo na yung may kabutihan ng loob to be able to do research, no? Ayan. So, yun yung aking payo. Nice lang.
And last question po, do you have anything to promote?
Yes. Ang promotion ko ay, of course, that please, meron kaming Masters of Science in Plant Genetic Resources Conservation and Management. Our lab also hosts that program in UPLB. So if you want to enroll, ongoing yung enrollment namin, hopefully for second semester na but it's constant. We also have scholarships for it. So kung gusto niyo matutunan more
Ay,
about genetic
hanggang
resources,
kailan yung application?
every anong tawag nito, it opens and closes every year. So rolling naman yung basis. So if you were not able to apply for this sem, then your application will be considered for next semester. So yun, for the first sem natapos na last June yung cutoff. So meaning for the subsequent sem na siya, like which is next year on January or February yung start.
Okay.
So, yun, kung gusto niyo malaman more about plants and be with the Crop Breeding and Genetic Resource Laboratory, promise we will try to teach research or methods, etc. that are very resource-based and hopefully kayang madala rin sa inyo in terms of your community and in terms of your laboratory in your respective SUCs and research institution. Also, anong tawag nito, we also promote the Crop Breeding and Genetic Resources Lab. We are free to collaborate lalo na in terms of mga materials, in terms of research, and kung anong alam namin. Kasi alam namin na ginasusan rin yun ng taong bayan. We're also very willing to share. We have published, I'm going to publish the compendium of protocols at the same time, the descriptor list, and may mga pamphlets rin tayo towards this end. Pero all the things that we I think it should be open to public and it should be open to all. So yun naman yung na. So hopefully, nito, kasi tayo lang rin yung magtutulungan dito. Lalo na in terms kasi much of the industry even, no, ay Philippine-based yung herbal industry. So nito, if we tinker economic growth to them, we also tinker economic growth sa sarili nating industry sa Pilipinas. So it's beyond industry, even as social. So obviously, so sa lahat ng yan, lalo na sa medicinal plants, you are free to to consult and to collaborate, or whatever we can help, we'll try to extend as part of our service in here at the University of the Philippines, Las Bañas, Institute of Crop Science, College of Agriculture and Food Science. UPLB. Thank you so much.
Ayun, so I guess hanggang dito na lang muna tayo, and maraming salamat kay Sir Rio sa pag-share ng kanyang research, at maraming salamat sa lahat ng nakinig at nanood. Kung nag-enjoy kayo, pindot ng 5 stars para mas madami pa tayong maabot na audience. So ayun, see you everyone next week. Madami pa tayong pag-uusapan na research na ginagawa ng ating mga Pinoy scientists.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.